nothing. You scroll through social media and see groups of people laughing, drinking, connecting, and you feel a cold, heavy weight in your chest, a specific kind of silence. Society tells you this silence is a symptom. It tells you that if you are alone, you are broken, that you are antisocial, that you have failed the fundamental test of being human. They call you a loner, an outcast, a failure, but they are wrong. What if I told you that your solitude is not a defect, but a defense mechanism? What if the reason you have few or no friends isn't because you can't connect, but because your psychology is wired to reject the artificial? There is a concept in evolutionary psychology called the apex paradox. It states that as an organism becomes more specialized, more efficient, and more dangerous, its circle naturally shrinks. The sheep herds, the lion prides, but the tiger walks alone. If you are watching this, you have likely felt out of place your entire life. You have tried to fit in. You have tried to wear the mask, but it never fits. It slides off. You are here because you suspect that there is something fundamentally different about the way your mind processes the world. You are right. Today, we are going to dissect the 7 rare traits found in people who walk alone. These are not personality quirks. These are evolutionary adaptations. By the end of this video, you will understand why your circle is small, why your standards are terrifying to average people, and why your solitude is actually your greatest weapon. But be warned, this is not for the fragile. We are going to destroy the victim mentality you've been carrying. We are going to look into the mirror, and you might be scared of what stares back. Trait 1. Hyper-acute pattern recognition. Most people sleepwalk through their interactions. They listen to words. I love you. I support you. We're friends. They take these words at face value because it is comfortable. It is easy. You don't. You can't. If you have no friends, it is likely because you suffer from, or are gifted with, hyperacute pattern recognition. Your brain does not listen to what people say. It analyzes what they do. It tracks micro-expressions, tonal shifts, and timing delays. Psychologists call this thin slicing, the ability to find patterns in events based only on narrow windows of experience. When someone compliments you, but their eyes don't crinkle at the corners, you see the envy. When someone agrees with you, but their voice pitch rises slightly, you hear the deception. You see the shadow behind the mask. For the average person, a social gathering is a fun exchange of energy. For you, it is a deafening, chaotic stream of data. You are watching people pretend. You are watching them suppress their true nature to fit into the social hierarchy. And because you see the performance, you cannot participate in it. It feels like acting in a play where everyone knows the lines, but you. Or worse, you know the lines, but you refuse to say them because they are lies. This makes you dangerous to be around. People who live in denial hate those who see the truth. When you are in a group, you often stay silent, not because you are shy, but because you are observing, and people feel your observation. It makes them uneasy. They sense that you see through their persona. They will call you judgy. They will call you intense. They will call you hard to read. What they really mean is, you are a mirror, and I don't like my reflection. If you have lost friends, ask yourself, did you lose them, or did you expose them? Did they leave because you were toxic, or did they flee because you were the only one who didn't buy their act? Your solitude is the price you pay for your clarity. You have an allergic reaction to fake behavior. While others can swallow the poison of inauthenticity and smile, your system rejects it immediately. You aren't lonely. You are just incapable of being lied to. Trait 2. Intolerance for social entropy. There is a law in physics called entropy. Systems tend toward disorder, toward randomness, toward noise. Most social interaction is entropy. It is noise. How about this weather? Did you see that game? I hate my boss. It is the recycling of dead information. If you have few friends, it is because you possess a rare trait known as high need for cognition. This isn't just about being smart. It is a biological drive. Research in personality psychology shows that individuals with high openness and high intellect physically suffer when forced to engage in shallow interaction. It drains your dopamine. It spikes your cortisol. Small talk to you is not polite. It is theft. It is the theft of your time. Look at this diagram. Most of the world operates at the bottom. Survival, safety, belonging. Their conversations reflect this. They talk about people. They talk about events. You operate at the top. Self-actualization, transcendence. You want to talk about ideas. You want to talk about the future. You want to decode the universe. When you try to bring these topics up at a dinner party, what happens? Silence. Awkward stares. Someone laughs nervously and changes the subject back to something safe. You are viewed as too heavy, too serious. So you have a choice. You can lobotomize yourself, dumb yourself down, pretend to care about the celebrity gossip, pretend to be excited about the mundane, just to have friends. Or you can stay silent. Most people choose the lobotomy. They would rather be surrounded by fools than stand alone with their own thoughts. You chose the silence. This is not arrogance. This is energy economics. You realized long ago that you have a finite amount of mental energy. Spending it on social entropy feels like burning money. You crave the deep dive. You want the 3 a.m. conversation about the nature of consciousness, the strategy of war, the meaning of death. And because 99% of people are terrified of those depths, 99% of people cannot be your friend. You are a deep sea diver in a world of wading pools. Do not apologize for your depth. The ocean does not apologize for being deep just because the swimmer is afraid of the bottom. Trait 3, the autoimmune response to control. Let's go darker. There is a trait that is often diagnosed as oppositional defiant disorder in children, but in adults, if channeled correctly, it is the trait of the genius. It is the refusal to submit to arbitrary authority. Most friendship circles are not democracies. They are tyrannies. They are micro-cults. They have unwritten rules. We hate this person, so you must hate them too. We believe this political view, so you must believe it too. We are going out tonight, so you must come too. This is the herd instinct, the biological urge to conform to stay safe. The Ash conformity experiments proved that 75% of people will agree with an obvious lie just to fit in with the group. If the group says the short line is the long line, the individual will agree. You are in the 25%. You are the glitch in the matrix. When a social circle demands your compliance, your brain triggers a threat response. You don't feel safe in the herd. You feel suffocated. You have a high degree of autonomy. You cannot respect a person just because they are popular. You cannot agree with an idea just because it is trending. You require logic. You require proof. This makes you a bad friend to narcissists. Narcissists collect friends like accessories. They want entourage members who nod and clap. You don't nod. You ask why. And why is the most dangerous word you can speak to a fragile ego. Because you cannot be controlled, you are often cast out. Groups will label you difficult or arrogant. They will try to exile you to break you. They hope that the pain of loneliness will force you to come crawling back, ready to obey. But this is where you confuse them. You don't crawl back. You thrive. You use the exile to build. This trait, this inability to be a sheep, is why you are alone. But it is also why you are free. While they are trapped in a web of social obligations, debt, and lies, you are walking your own path. You have traded popularity for sovereignty. And sovereignty is a lonely kingdom, but it is the only one worth ruling. Trait 4, the architect's obsession. Let's talk about resources. Most people treat their lives like a waiting room. They are waiting for the weekend, waiting for the vacation, waiting for retirement. They use friends to kill time. You feel the passing of time like a physical wound. You are not here to wait. You are here to build. Whether it is a business, a body of art, a philosophy, or your own physique, You are possessed by a vision of what you could become. This is the architect trait. And here is the brutal truth about building something great. It requires a monomaniacal focus. Neuroscience shows us that the brain has two primary modes. The default mode network, socializing, daydreaming, past/future thinking, and the task positive network, deep focus, flow state, execution. They are anti-correlated. When one is on, the other is off. You cannot build an empire and maintain a thriving social life simultaneously. You just can't. History is filled with outliers who had few friends. Tesla, Michelangelo, Newton. They weren't crying about it. They were too busy decoding the laws of the universe. You have likely realized that every hour you spend in a bar listening to someone complain about their ex is an hour you stole from your future self. So you started saying no to the drinks, no to the parties, no to the hanging out. And when you say no enough times, the invitations stop coming. Good. This is the filtration system working. You are clearing the construction site. You are putting up the do not disturb sign on your life. People take this personally. They think you are better than them. You don't think you are better. You just know you have work to do. You are playing a zero zero-sum game with your attention. If you have no friends, it might be because you are currently in a metamorphosis phase. The caterpillar dissolves completely inside the cocoon. It has no friends in there. It has no social life. It is total destruction and reconstruction. If you are in that phase, solitude is not a burden. It is a biological necessity. Do not let the world drag you out of your cocoon before you have your wings. They will crush you. Stay in the dark. Do the work. The friends you lose during your building phase were never going to fit in your skyscraper anyway. Pause. Take a breath. I can feel your resistance. There is a voice in your head saying, but humans are social animals. We need connection. Am I just coping? Am I just telling myself this to feel better? That is a valid question. And the answer is, yes, we need connection. But you are starving because you are looking for steak in a candy store. You don't need more connection. You need rare connection. And because you are rare, the statistical probability of you finding your match is low. That is simply math. If you are in the top 1% of intellect, ambition, or awareness, you will only resonate with 1% of the population. That means in a room of 100 people, 99 will bore you, and you will scare them. This leads us to the fifth trait, the one that explains why your very presence triggers insecurity in others. This is where it gets psychological. This is where we enter the shadow. Trait 5, the unconscious mirror. Have you ever walked into a room, said nothing, and felt people dislike you immediately? Have you ever been targeted by a bully or a manipulator for no apparent reason? It's not because you are weak, it's because you are a screen. People with high self-awareness and low social need act as a blank screen upon which others project their own demons. This is the Jungian concept of the shadow. When a person who is fake, insecure, and desperate for approval meets you, someone who is quiet, contained, and self-sufficient, they do not see you. They see the part of themselves they are ashamed of. They see their own lack of courage. Your silence makes them hear their own internal noise louder. Your independence mocks their dependency. You become a walking reminder of what they are not. And because the human ego cannot handle shame, it converts that shame into aggression. They attack you to destroy the mirror. If you have no friends, it is often because you refuse to help people hide from themselves. Most friendships are codependent delusions. I'll tell you you're right if you tell me I'm pretty. I'll validate your victimhood if you validate mine. It is a trade agreement of lies. You don't sign the treaty. When someone complains about a problem they created, you don't say, poor you. You ask, how are you going to fix it? You break the contract. And when you break the contract of mutual delusion, you become the villain. Understand this. Being the villain in a loser's story is a compliment. It means you have retained your reality. You are not lonely because you are unlikable. You are isolated because you are undeniable. You force people to face reality, and most people would rather die than face reality. Trait 6. Temporal displacement. We live in a world obsessed with the now, hedonism, instant. Shame is not an emotion. It is a social execution. When someone tries to shame you in public, they are not just insulting you. They are trying to murder your identity. You know the feeling. The heat rising up your neck. The sudden silence in the room. The feeling that you have suddenly become very small and everyone else has become giant. Your instinct screams at you to defend yourself, to explain, to fight back, or worse, to apologize. But here is the brutal truth that most people will never understand. The moment you react, you die. The moment you try to prove you aren't what they say you are, you have already accepted their frame. You are dancing to their music. But what if you didn't? What if there was a way to take that burning, heavy energy of shame and, with a single psychological shift, turn it back on them? Not by shouting, not by arguing, but by doing something so counterintuitive, so surgically precise, that it leaves them exposed, terrified, and wishing they had never opened their mouth. There is a method to this, a dark art of psychological reversal used by Machiavellian leaders for centuries. And once you learn it, you will never feel the sting of shame again. You will only feel the rush of power. Most people think the opposite of shame is pride. They are wrong. The opposite of shame is indifference. But getting to true indifference, the kind that freezes a room, requires you to kill a part of yourself that craves validation. In the next 30 minutes, we are going to perform surgery on your social instincts. I am going to show you how to dismantle an attacker, not with insults, but with presence. We will look at the grey rock inversion, the mirror of silence, and the dead star technique. By the end of this video, you won't just know how to handle disrespect, you will crave it, because you will see it for what it really is, an opportunity to display dominance. But be warned, this knowledge is not for the kind-hearted, it is for the strategic. Once you see the strings, you can never go back to being a puppet. Phase 1, the anatomy of the kill. You need to understand what is happening to you biologically before you can control it socially. When someone shames you, why are you wearing that? Did you really just say that? Everyone here knows you're lying. Your amygdala hijacks your brain. It perceives a threat to your survival. In tribal times, shame meant exile, and exile meant death. So your body prepares to fight or flee. This is where you lose. Because in the modern social hierarchy, the person who is reacting is the person who is losing. The shamer knows this. They are banking on your biology. They want you to get angry. They want you to stutter. They want you to look at the floor. They are the director of a play, and they have just cast you as the fool. If you follow your instinct, you play the role perfectly. The Machiavellian mind does not follow instinct, it overrides it. The first step to destroying a shamer is to realize that their attack has nothing to do with you. Nothing. Shame is a projection. People only shame others when they feel a threat to their own hierarchy. A happy, powerful person does not need to make others feel small. Only a desperate person does. When they attack you, they are confessing their own insecurity. They are revealing that they view you as a threat that needs to be neutralized. Take that in. They are afraid of you, or they are jealous of you, or they are bored and empty and need to use your pain as fuel to feel alive. Once you see their attack not as a judgment of your worth, but as a symptom of their weakness, the heat on your neck vanishes. You stop being the victim. You become the observer, and the observer is the most dangerous person in the room. Phase 2. The void. Let's talk about the pause. The average person cannot tolerate silence. When an insult lands, there is a vacuum created in the conversation. Human beings are social creatures. We are programmed to fill that vacuum. We laugh nervously. We retort. We justify. We rush to close the gap because the gap feels dangerous. But for the dark triad mind, the Machiavellian strategist, the gap is not a danger. The gap is a weapon. The most devastating thing you can do when someone tries to humiliate you is absolutely nothing. Not the nothing of a coward who is afraid to speak, but the nothing of a predator who is deciding if the prey is even worth eating. Here is the technique. They deliver the insult. You do not blink. You do not look away. You do not smile. You do not frown. You go completely still. You look them directly in the eyes, not with aggression. Aggression shows they hurt you. You look at them with dead eyes, a flat, bored, almost clinical stare. You count to 3 in your head. 1, 2, 3. In those 3 seconds, the dynamic of the room shifts tectonically. The audience, the people watching, are waiting for your reaction. When it doesn't come, they look back at the attacker. The attacker expects resistance. When they hit nothing but air, they stumble. They start to wonder, did he hear me? Does he not care? Is he crazy? The silence stretches. It becomes heavy. It becomes awkward. But it is their awkwardness, not yours. You have refused to pick up the burden they threw at you, so it falls at their feet. By doing nothing, you force them to sit in the ugliness of what they just did. You turn the volume up on their disrespect until it becomes deafening to everyone else. This is called the void. You become a black hole. You absorb their energy and give nothing back. And in that silence, their power evaporates. They might try to fill it. They might say, I'm just joking, or cat got your tongue. This is the death rattle of their dominance. They are panicking. They are trying to fix the frame because you broke it with silence. Do not help them. Let them scramble. Phase 3. Psychological judo. Once you have held the silence long enough to make them uncomfortable, you speak, but you do not defend. Defense is an admission of guilt. If I say, you are a thief, and you scream, I am not a thief, you have just associated yourself with thievery in the minds of the audience. You are debating your innocence. Kings do not debate their innocence with peasants. Instead, you use psychological judo. You take the energy they threw at you and you pull it further until they fall over. You treat their insult not as a fact, but as a behavior. You analyze them. You treat them like a patient in a mental asylum who just had an outburst. You don't get angry at the patient. You get curious. They say, wow, you really messed that up, didn't you? The defense response, no, I didn't. I was just trying to... Weakness. The Machiavellian response, you pause, you tilt your head slightly, you look at them with mild, detached curiosity, and you say, are you okay? Or, you seem really upset about this.
Is rooted in scarcity. Men are driven by 2 principal impulses, either by love or by fear. But both impulses are controlled by availability. What's always available loses value. Think about it. When you're always free, always responding immediately, always showing up, you train people to expect you. And expectation kills respect. Powerful people are selective with their time. Not because they're busy, because they understand that scarcity creates value. When people have to wait for you, they appreciate you more. When they have to earn your presence, they respect it. Here's the shift you need to make. Stop responding to every text immediately. Stop being available for every last-minute request. Stop rearranging your schedule to accommodate others while they never accommodate you. When someone asks for your time, pause. Ask yourself, does this serve me? Does this person respect my time when they ask for it? Have they earned this access? If the answer is no, you say no, not with guilt, not with apology, with certainty. I'm not available. That's a complete sentence. You don't need to explain why. You don't need to offer alternatives. You protect your time like the treasure it is. What happens when you become scarce? People start valuing your presence. That coworker who always dumps work on you suddenly finds another solution. That friend who only called when they needed something either steps up or disappears. Good riddance. Scarcity doesn't make you rude. It makes you respected. It makes you someone whose time actually means something. Drop this affirmation in the comments. My time is sacred. Number 5. Stop seeking approval from people who don't respect you. This is the trap that keeps nice people powerless. They seek approval from everyone, from people who disrespect them, from people who use them, from people who wouldn't cross the street to help them. And every time you seek approval from someone who doesn't respect you, you hand them control over your self-worth. Machiavelli wrote, "The first method for estimating the intelligence of a ruler is to look at the men he has around him. In other words, show me who you seek validation from, and I'll show you whether you're powerful or pathetic." Nice people waste years trying to prove themselves to people who will never respect them. They work harder for that dismissive boss. They try to win over that judgmental family member. They chase the approval of friends who secretly envy them, and it never works. Because respect isn't given to those who chase it. It's commanded by those who don't need it. Here's the shift. Stop performing for people who don't applaud your success. Stop explaining yourself to people who've already decided you're wrong. Stop seeking love from people who barely tolerate you. Instead, focus on earning your own approval. Ask yourself, am I proud of who I'm becoming? Am I living by my standards? Do I respect the choices I'm making? When your validation comes from within, you become uncontrollable. No one can manipulate you with acceptance. No one can guilt you with rejection. You move through the world free. And here's the beautiful irony. The moment you stop needing approval, you start receiving respect. Because people respect what they can't control. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I validate myself. Number 6. Niceness without strength is manipulation's sate. Let's expose something most people won't tell you. Manipulators love nice people. Why? Because nice people are easy to control. Nice people feel guilty when they say no. Nice people apologize for things that aren't their fault. Nice people give second, third, and fourth chances to people who don't deserve a first. Machiavelli warned, men are so simple and so ready to obey present necessities that he who deceives will always find someone willing to be deceived. You are that person if you're too nice. Here's how manipulation works. Someone identifies that you're nice. They test your boundaries with a small request. You say yes because you don't want to seem mean. They take note. Next time, the request is bigger. You hesitate but say yes again because you already helped before. Right? Each yes trains you to say yes again. Each time you sacrifice your needs, they learn that your needs don't matter. And before you know it, you're trapped in a cycle where you give everything and receive nothing. Strength isn't about being harsh. It's about being immovable when someone tries to push you. It's about looking someone in the eye and saying no without flinching. When you combine niceness with strength, you become magnetic. People still see your kindness, but they also see that you can't be manipulated. That combination commands respect. Here's the rule. Be kind, but be dangerous. Help people, but make them earn it. Forgive, but never forget. perfection, but never compromise your standards. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I'm kind, not weak. Number 7. Stop forgiving people who aren't sorry. Nice people forgive too easily. Someone hurts them, and they forgive without the person even asking. Why? Because nice people want peace more than respect, and that's why they lose. Machiavelli understood that forgiveness without consequences is permission to repeat the offense. If an injury has to be done to a man, it should be so severe that his vengeance need not be feared. This doesn't mean you hurt people. It means when someone crosses you, they must feel the weight of that action. If they can hurt you and face no consequences, they'll hurt you again. Stop forgiving people who aren't sorry. Stop letting people back into your life just because time passed. Stop giving chances to people who never changed. Real forgiveness requires acknowledgement. It requires change. It requires proof that the person understands what they did and won't repeat it. Without that, you're not forgiving. You're enabling. You're teaching them that disrespecting you is free. Here's the shift. When someone wrongs you, you don't chase closure. You don't demand apologies. You simply remove them from your life. Quietly. Permanently. Without drama. Let your absence be the consequence. Let them feel the loss of access to you. And if they come back and prove they've changed, then you consider it. Not before. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I forgive with consequences. Number 8. Build a reputation of being fair but formidable. Here's the final principle. The goal isn't to become heartless. The goal is to become someone who is fair but formidable. Someone people respect, not because you're cruel, but because you're unshakable. Machiavelli's wisdom wasn't about tyranny. It was about understanding human nature and protecting yourself from those who would exploit your goodness. When you're fair, people trust you. When you're formidable, people respect you. The combination makes you untouchable. Fair. Drop this in the comments right now. I refuse to be used anymore. Let's begin. Number 1. Your niceness is training people to disrespect you. Every single time someone disrespects you and you say nothing, you're teaching them a lesson. You're showing them that crossing your boundaries has no consequences. You're training them to walk all over you. Think about it. That person who interrupts you constantly, you train them. That friend who cancels on you last minute, you train them. That boss who overworks you without appreciation, you train them. How? By being nice. By saying, it's okay when it wasn't. By smiling when you should have walked away. By forgiving without requiring change. Machiavelli once said, men are so simple and so ready to obey present necessities that he who deceives will always find someone who will allow himself to be deceived. You are that someone. Your niceness is the crack in your armor that manipulators exploit daily. Here's what you need to understand. Respect and fear are closer than respect and love. People who respect you think twice before crossing you. People who love your niceness, they cross you without thinking. When you're too nice, you remove consequences from bad behavior. And humans are simple creatures. We avoid pain and seek pleasure. If treating you poorly has no pain attached, people will treat you poorly. It's not personal. It's psychology. Starting today, you must become someone who enforces consequences. Not through anger, not through drama, through cold, calculated distance. When someone disrespects you, you don't argue, you don't explain, you remove access, you withdraw presence, you make them feel the weight of losing you. Because here's the secret the powerful know. People don't value what's always available. Drop this affirmation in the comments. My boundaries are absolute. Hey warriors, listen very carefully. Because what I'm about to tell you will make you angry. And it should. Right now, at this very moment, someone is using you. Maybe it's your co-worker who always needs help but never returns the favor. Maybe it's that friend who only calls when they need something. Maybe it's a family member who guilt trips you into sacrificing your time, your energy, your peace. And you know what the worst part is? You let them. Because you were trained to be nice. You were conditioned to be agreeable. You were programmed to believe that kindness is strength, when the brutal truth is this. In 2026, if you're still nice, you're not noble. You're prey. I need you to understand something right now. The world is not what your parents told you it was. It's not what your teachers promised. It's not some fairy tale where good people win and bad people lose. The world is a battlefield, and on that battlefield, the nice ones don't get medals. They get stepped on. You want to know why? Because while you were busy being understanding, someone else was being strategic. While you were worried about hurting feelings, someone else was taking what they wanted. While you were playing fair, someone else was rewriting the rules. And here's the part that's going to sting. They're not sorry. They're not losing sleep. They're winning. And you're the reason they're winning. Let me tell you about someone I knew. A good person. The kind who'd give you the shirt off their back. The kind who always said yes. Always helped. Always understood. Always forgave. And you know where that person is today? Broke. Exhausted. Disrespected. Walked over by every single person they ever tried to help, because here's what they never understood. Niceness without boundaries isn't kindness. It's weakness, and the world can smell weakness from a mile away. But one day, something changed. They disappeared. Stopped answering calls. Stopped showing up. Stopped explaining themselves, and when they came back, they weren't the same person. The softness was gone. The apologizing was gone. The people-pleasing was gone. What remained was something cold, calculated, and untouchable. They had learned what Machiavelli knew 500 years ago. The world doesn't reward good hearts. It rewards strong minds. Niccolò Machiavelli lived in a world of wolves. Renaissance Italy was a pit of betrayal, manipulation, and power games. He watched princes rise and fall. He saw honest men destroyed and ruthless men crowned. And from that chaos, he extracted one brutal truth that still applies today. Men judge by their eyes, not by their hands. For everyone can see, but few can feel. What does that mean? It means people don't care about your intentions. They care about your image. They don't respect what's in your heart. They respect what you project. And if you project weakness through niceness, they will treat you accordingly. You think being nice makes people like you. But here's the dark truth. People don't respect what comes easy. They respect what they have to work for. When you give everything freely, you teach the world that you have no value. This isn't about becoming cruel. This isn't about becoming a monster. This is about understanding.
Most people confuse safety with survival. They believe that avoiding risk guarantees stability. But in reality, stability without growth is stagnation, and stagnation is the death of influence, opportunity, and respect. Risk is not reckless. Risk is intelligent action in pursuit of reward. It is calculated boldness. It is stepping forward when the majority steps back, knowing the consequences, but refusing to be paralyzed by fear. Look at history. The most powerful figures were never the cautious ones. They were the ones who made decisions that terrified others. They moved when everyone hesitated. They acted when the comfortable retreated. And in doing so, they claimed what others only dreamed of. Machiavelli understood this truth perfectly. He wrote that fortune favors the bold, not the timid. Opportunities rarely wait. They are seized, stolen, or missed entirely. A man who refuses to risk never controls his destiny. He waits for it, and waiting is losing risk also defines reputation. A man who takes intelligent chances appears decisive, confident, and strong. A man who plays it safe appears indecisive, weak, and forgettable. People respect those who dare because audacity signals mastery, courage, and vision. But here's the subtlety most overlook. Calculated risk is not gambling, it is preparation. Hey, stop for a second and really listen. This is going to shake up everything you've believed since you were a kid. From the day you could walk, people trained you like a puppy. Sit, stay, be nice, don't bark. They told you good guys finish first. That patience pays off. That if you just play by the rules, life will hand you the trophy. Cute story. Total lie. The world doesn't hand out prizes to the sweet ones. It hands them to the ones who see the game underneath the game, who spot the strings on the puppets, the smoke behind the mirrors, the real price tags on every smile. Here's the raw truth most folks can't stomach. Honesty doesn't earn respect. Strategy does. Machiavelli saw through it all 5 centuries back, when everyone else was polishing their halos. He caught kings preaching, "Be kind," while plotting moves that crushed empires. He watched priests trade salvation for silver. He cracked the code. The system stays in charge by keeping people peaceful, obedient, and in the dark. That's where you come in. You've been following instructions your entire life. Lower your voice, swallow your pride, wait your turn. Apologize even when you're right. Those instructions weren't meant to build you up. They were meant to keep you small. A planet full of small people is easy to steer. A planet full of awake, hungry minds. That's a wildfire nobody can control. So today we flip the script. Today we rip the blindfold off and stare straight at the 10 society rules that have been chaining you since kindergarten. Break these, and you stop being background noise. You start being the guy people move for when you walk into a room. But first, do one thing right now. Type it in the comments. I choose power. Say it out loud if you're alone. Let it hit your chest. That single line is your contract with yourself. No more waiting for permission to take up space. No more shrinking so someone else feels tall. This ride is going to sting a little. You'll squirm when you see how much of your nice guy armor is just fear in disguise. That's the point. Comfort is the cage. Truth is the key. Machiavelli didn't write for the soft. He wrote for the ones ready to trade pleasant for powerful. If that's you, buckle up. We're about to smash every rule that ever told you to stay in your lane. Rule 1. Quit trying to fit in. From the second you popped out, the world started whispering in your ear. Blend, match the wallpaper, don't stick out. Teachers, parents, friends, they all sang the same lullaby, sounded safe, felt warm. Total trap. Blending in is the express lane to nowhere. You vanish. Nobody remembers the guy who looks, talks, and dreams exactly like the next 10 dudes in line. They're background noise. You want influence, admiration, real respect? Then stop auditioning for the role of extra. Check history. Every name that still echoes, Edison, Einstein, Elon, whoever, got there by refusing the cookie cutter. They wore weird clothes, asked dumb questions, chased ideas that made people laugh. They walked their own road while the herd followed the GPS. That's not ego, that's oxygen. Machiavelli clocked this centuries ago. He told princes to watch out for the guy who doesn't flinch when the room glares. That guy can't be guilt-tripped, shamed, or peer-pressured into line. He's not waiting for a gold star to breathe. That independence scares the system stiff. So why are you still sanding down your edges? Why mute the joke only you think is funny? Why hide the dream that keeps you up at 3 a.m.? Because somebody once said, that's weird, and you believed them? Come on. The trap is slick. Act normal and you'll be safe. Safe gets you a cubicle and a pat on the head. Safe gets you forgotten by Friday. Power starts the second you quit apologizing for the parts of you that don't match the brochure. Your quirks aren't flaws, they're fingerprints. The way you laugh too loud, the random facts you hoard, the playlist nobody else gets, that's your brand. Lean into it. People magnetize to the guy who owns his weird without a disclaimer. You don't need neon hair or a megaphone. Quiet confidence hits harder. Wear the shirt you love, even if it's out. Speak the opinion that makes the table pause. Post the thought that might get eye rolls. Every time you choose real over rehearsed, your stock rises. Conformity is a slow suicide of the soul. Authenticity is the defibrillator. One keeps you replaceable. The other makes you the only option. Machiavelli put it blunt. The great ones always look different from the pack. Not because they try, they just refuse to shrink. Your job isn't to slip unnoticed through life. Your job is to walk in and shift the air. Let the average squirm. Let the insecure whisper. The guy brave enough to stand solo is the guy the crowd eventually orbits. Drop this affirmation in the comments right now. I stand apart. Mean it. Say it like you're signing a contract with your future self. No more camouflage. From this second forward, your difference isn't a risk. It's your crown. Rule 2. Always tell the truth. They told you since childhood, always tell the truth. Honesty is pure. Honesty makes you a good person. But here is what they never mentioned. Pure honesty destroys powerful man. Not because truth is bad, but because revealing everything makes you predictable, exposed, and easy to control. In the real world, the man who speaks without filters is the man who loses leverage. He shows his plans before he acts. He reveals his fears before he understands them. He exposes his intentions before they mature. And society uses every piece of truth you give them against you. People don't respect radical honesty. They exploit it. They weaponize it. They twist it. They judge it. They gossip about it. They use it to place you in a box you cannot break out of. Understand this clearly. When you overshare, you surrender power. Because power is not in what you say. Power is in what you choose not to say. Machiavelli understood this completely. He wrote that a ruler must appear honest, but never reveal everything. He believed that truth is a tool, not a commandment. Because once people know your intentions, they can block your path. Once people know your weaknesses, they can break your spirit. Once people know your dreams, they can sabotage your future. In silence, you are untouchable. In mystery, you are respected. In controlled truth, you are powerful. You don't need to lie. You need to select to choose what is revealed and what remains hidden. To speak with purpose, not emotion. To share with precision, not impulse. Not everyone deserves to know your mindset. Not everyone is worthy of your struggle. Not everyone can handle your truth without turning it into a weapon. The wise man uses truth the way a strategist uses a blade, carefully, precisely, and only when it strengthens his position. When someone asks you a question, pause, think. Ask yourself, does answering this benefit me? Does it protect me? Does it weaken me? Does it give the other person power? The strong man is not the man who tells everything. The strong man is the man who knows what to keep. Society wants you transparent because transparency makes you easy to manipulate. But mystery creates gravity. Mystery creates interest. Mystery creates respect. The less they know, the more they want to know. And the more they want to know, the more power you hold. As Machiavelli once said, a wise ruler should never reveal all his intentions. That line alone can save you from a lifetime of being underestimated. So from today forward, control your truth, shape your story, protect your mind. And I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. My silence is power. Rule 3, be humble.
I'm going to tell you something that will save your life. There are 7 types of promiscuous women so toxic, so psychologically damaged, so guaranteed to destroy everything you've built that you'd be better off dying single than committing to any of them. And the worst part, they're everywhere. They're on dating apps, they're at bars, they're in your social circle, and they're all hiding their true nature until you're too invested to walk away easily. Pay attention to these 7 types, learn to identify them fast, and when you spot them, run, because no amount of physical attraction, no level of temporary companionship is worth what these women will cost you. Your peace, your resources, your sanity, your future, all gone if you make the mistake of committing to the wrong type. Type 1, the born-again virgin. She spent her 20s sleeping with everyone. 20, 30, maybe 50 different men. She gave herself away for free to guys who didn't know her last name. Bad boys, players, men who treated her like the temporary entertainment she was. Now she's 34, 36, maybe 38. Suddenly she's found God, found therapy, found herself. She's rebranded as traditional, conservative, relationship-focused. She talks about wanting a good man who respects her. She dresses modestly. She acts like her past is completely irrelevant to who she is today. Here's why she's poison. The born-again virgin hasn't actually changed. She's repositioned. Her options dried up, so she's performing a new role to attract the stable men she used to ignore. The psychological damage from years of promiscuity is still there. The inability to pair bond, the comparison disease, the emotional numbing, none of that goes away just because she decided to rebrand herself. If you commit to her, you're getting the depleted version of a woman who gave her best years, her enthusiasm, her genuine desire to men who did nothing to earn it. And she'll resent you for being the man she had to settle for when the men she actually wanted wouldn't commit to her. Die single before you become her backup plan, disguised as her redemption story. Type 2, the career woman who suddenly wants kids. She focused on her career for 15 years. Relationships were distractions. Family was something she'd get to later. She climbed the corporate ladder, collected degrees, built a resume while her fertility window was closing and her dating market value was dropping. Now she's approaching 40 and biology is screaming at her. Suddenly she wants kids immediately. She wants a husband yesterday. She's on every dating app with bios about being ready for something serious, about not wanting to waste time, about knowing what she wants. Here's the trap. You're not a partner to her. You're a sperm donor with a paycheck. She doesn't actually desire you as a man. She desires what you can provide, genetic material and financial stability for the family she should have started a decade ago but was too busy for. If you commit to her, you'll spend your life funding her timeline, raising kids on her terms, and watching her treat you like a utility instead of a husband. The moment she has the kids, your value to her drops to 0, except for the resources you provide. And when she divorces you, because women initiate 70% of divorces, she'll take the kids you helped create and the money you worked for, leaving you with visitation rights and child support payments. Die single before you become her retirement plan disguised as a relationship. Type 3, the serial monogamist. She's never been single for more than a month or two since she was 16. Every relationship lasts 6 months to 2 years. Then she's immediately in another one. She has a lineup of exes that looks like a roster, and she's always just got out of something serious when you meet her. On the surface, she seems better than the obviously promiscuous women. At least she does relationships, right? Wrong. The serial monogamist is just as damaged. She's just better at hiding it. Every relationship she's had has been practice for leaving. She bonds, extracts what she needs, then moves to the next man when the novelty wears off or something better appears. She's a branch swinger who never lets go of one branch until she has a secure grip on the next. If you commit to her, you're just the current branch. She's already looking for the next one. The moment your value dips, the moment she meets someone who seems like an upgrade, she's gone. And she'll justify it by saying she grew apart from you, or the relationship ran its course. You're not building a life with her. You're occupying a space in her rotation until she finds the next man. Die single before you become another X in her collection. Type 4. The party girl who never grew up. She's 35 but still living like she's 22, clubbing every weekend, chasing the validation and excitement of her 20s. She'll tell you she's just fun-loving, spontaneous, knows how to enjoy life. What she actually is, psychologically stuck in a phase she should have grown out of a decade ago, unable to transition into adult responsibilities because her identity is completely tied to being desired and validated through party culture. If you commit to her, you're committing to funding a lifestyle that has no future. She won't suddenly become domestic. She won't prioritize building a family. She'll drag you to clubs, expect you to maintain her party lifestyle financially, and resent any suggestion that maybe it's time to grow up. And when her looks finally fade completely and the party scene fully rejects her, she won't transform into a good partner. She'll become bitter, depressed, and blame you for the emptiness she feels because she wasted her life chasing temporary validation. Type 5. The Alpha Widow. She had one relationship with a man who was significantly higher value than anyone else she's dated. Maybe he was rich, maybe he was exceptionally attractive, maybe he had status or power that made her feel like she won the lottery. Then he left her, or she sabotaged it, and she's been chasing that feeling ever since. The alpha widow is psychologically broken in a specific way. Every man she meets gets compared to the one who got away. You'll never measure up, because in her mind, that man was perfect. She's rewritten the relationship in her memory, erasing all the bad parts and creating a fantasy standard no real human can meet. If you commit to her, you're committing to being a permanent disappointment. No matter what you do, you'll never be him. She'll compare your income to his, your looks to his, your sexual performance to his. Everything about you will be measured against a ghost you can't compete with. She'll drop comments about him. She'll still have his photos somewhere. She might even still be in contact.
Without reaction, whether it starts in silence. No fights, no long speeches, no dramatic goodbye you can replay in your head, just a quiet stop. Two people who used to orbit each other simply don't anymore. The messages fade. The calls end. And what looks like the end of the story is actually the beginning of something far more unsettling. Because when silence arrives without explanation, the mind doesn't relax. It scans for danger. At first, it feels uneventful, almost anticlimactic. Nothing exploded, nothing collapsed. Life just went quiet. But beneath that calm surface, something invisible starts to rearrange itself. For someone with an avoidant pattern, silence has always felt like a shield. Pulling back meant safety. Distance meant control. And for you, stepping forward became instinct, filling the gaps, holding the bridge, keeping the connection alive even when it wasn't being met halfway. But now, both of you have stopped. No contact on both sides. From the outside, it looks like nothing is happening. Two people moving on. No drama, no closure. But silence is never empty. What feels like stillness is actually motion, just not the kind you can see. Not in texts, not in calls, but in psychological gravity quietly shifting from one side to the other. Most people misunderstand this phase. They think power lives in who speaks first, who waits longer, who looks less affected. Stoicism teaches something far sharper. Silence is not weakness. Silence is pressure without force. It doesn't chase. It doesn't argue. It reveals. This is the moment where the dynamic begins to turn, not because someone acts, but because someone doesn't. And that's exactly what this video is about. Not playing games, not manipulating outcomes, but understanding the hidden psychological mechanics that unfold when both people stop contacting each other, how ego starts to crack, how control quietly flips, and why the person who can remain present without breaking the silence is no longer operating by the old rules. Before we go further, pause for a second. Drop a 1 in the comments if silence still feels like loss to you. Drop a 2 if you're starting to sense it as power. If this journey resonates, make sure to like and subscribe to Stoic Silence and start this journey now. Because what you're about to understand can change how you experience not just this silence, but every connection after it. And here's the truth most people never see coming. When you both stop contacting each other, it doesn't explode. It fades, and that's exactly why it's dangerous. Let's dive in. 1. Silence isn't empty. It's loaded. When you both stop contacting each other, it doesn't explode. There's no dramatic fallout. No final message that ties everything together. No moment you can point to and say, this is where it ended. It simply fades. Quietly, gradually, almost politely. And that's exactly why it's dangerous. Most people misunderstand silence. They assume that if nothing is happening on the surface, then nothing is happening at all. No texts, no calls, no reactions. The mind rushes to one conclusion. The story must be over. That assumption feels logical, but it's driven by panic, not truth. Humans aren't built to sit comfortably inside unanswered space. We crave signals, feedback, confirmation. And silence offers none of that. At first, it even feels anticlimactic. You notice the phone lighting up less, then not at all. Days pass, maybe weeks. On the outside, it looks uneventful, almost boring. No fights, no closure talk, just nothing. But underneath that still surface, something far more intense is happening. Because silence creates the deepest ambiguity the human nervous system can experience. What is happening when nothing is happening? This is the moment most people break. Not because they want to reconnect, but because the quiet becomes unbearable. Because unresolved space activates old wounds that predate this relationship entirely. Fears of abandonment, of being forgotten, of not mattering as much as you thought. The urge to reach out isn't about love in this phase, it's about relief. It's about trying to collapse uncertainty into something familiar, even if that familiarity hurts. And this is where Stoicism offers a truth modern dating culture almost never teaches. Silence is not passive. Silence is pressure without force.
Imagine a future where things just make sense. In the 1700s,
What does it actually mean to rise in life when you feel like you have no one? Not the Instagram version where you flex your independence and pretend loneliness made you stronger. I'm talking about the real unglamorous truth of waking up in a world where you feel fundamentally alone, where the people around you don't see you, don't get you, and wouldn't know how to catch you if you fell. There's a particular weight to this kind of aloneness that most people never talk about honestly. It's not the dramatic loneliness of a breakup or losing someone to death. It's quieter than that and somehow heavier. It's looking around your life and realizing that if everything collapsed tomorrow, you'd be handling it by yourself. Again, maybe you have family. Maybe you have friends, colleagues, a contact list full of names. But when you're lying awake at 3 in the morning with that heavy feeling in your chest, you know the truth. There's no one you can call. No one who would truly understand. No one who has the capacity to hold what you're actually going through. And here's what makes it worse. You might be the strong one for everyone else. The person people come to when they're falling apart. The listener. The problem solver. The one who always seems to have it together. But when it's your turn to need someone, you don't even know where to start. Because somewhere along the way, you became the person who holds space for others, but never learned how to ask for that space yourself. If something in you just whispered, "That's exactly how I feel," then what I'm about to share might shift something fundamental in how you see this entire situation. Carl Jung, one of the most profound minds in human psychology, spent his life studying what happens in the hidden parts of the psyche. And he discovered something that might completely reframe your loneliness. He found that when we feel most alone, when it seems like we have no one, life is often doing something we don't recognize. It's not punishing us. It's not proving we're unlovable or broken. Life is actually pushing us toward the most important relationship we will ever have. The relationship with our own self. Not the self we perform for the world. Not the role we play to survive. The deeper self, what Jung called the center of our psychological and spiritual being. The part of us that knows things our conscious mind doesn't. The part that's trying to guide us toward wholeness, even when the path feels lonely and impossible. Jung wrote about something he called individuation. It's the process of becoming who you actually are, beneath all the layers of what you were taught to be, what people needed you to be, what you learned to be in order to survive. And sometimes that process requires a kind of aloneness, not because you're being abandoned, but because you're being called inward to discover resources you didn't know existed. Before we go deeper, I want to create a small moment of connection here. Go to the This is a free course. No fluff, no nonsense. A direct and deep dive into the most powerful concepts of Carl Gustav Jung's psychology, with a clear goal to help you master your shadow and become emotionally unshakable. Who should watch until the end? Anyone facing anxiety, depression, feelings of guilt, anger, grief, or any type of psychological suffering. Those who already realize they are stuck, repeating self-destructive behavior patterns. Those who feel that no matter how hard they try, they cannot achieve the emotional control they desire. Those who carry pains they cannot name, but that weigh on them every day. This content is for you. Throughout this video, you will clearly and practically understand what the shadow is. You will learn how it silently shapes your feelings, thoughts, and impulses. You will discover why so many of the emotions you cannot control, outbursts of anger, anxiety attacks, unexplained sadness, chronic guilt, do not arise from external situations,
but from unresolved conflicts within you. And more importantly, you will learn how to face all of this. Not with superficial positive thinking techniques, but with a real, deep, and transformative method. A method based on over a century of deep psychology, teaching you to confront the most hidden parts of your psyche and integrate them. How to weaponize your pain into power. Listen closely. Every man who ever dominated this world carried a wound, a scar so deep it rewired his entire operating system. But here's what separates the wolves from the sheep. Most men let their pain break them. You're going to let it make you. Machiavelli understood something brutal, something the weak will never accept. Pain isn't your enemy. It's raw material, unrefined power waiting to be forged into something unstoppable. Right now, you're holding on to something: betrayal, rejection, failure, loss. You think it's poison in your veins. Wrong. It's fuel, the highest octane fuel that exists. The moment you stop crying about what hurt you and start studying it, dissecting it like a cold surgeon, you become untouchable, because pain teaches lessons that comfort never could. Drop a comment right now with one word: forged. Let me see who's ready to turn their scars into weapons. Part 1. The Alchemy of Suffering. Every man who ever dominated this world carried a wound, a scar so deep it rewired his entire operating system. But here's what separates the wolves from the sheep. Most men let their pain break them. You're going to let it make you. Machiavelli understood something brutal, something the weak will never accept. Pain isn't your enemy. It's raw material, unrefined power, waiting to be forged into something unstoppable. Right now, you're holding on to something: betrayal, rejection, failure, loss. You think it's poison in your veins. Wrong. It's fuel, the highest octane fuel that exists. The moment you stop crying about what hurt you and start studying it, dissecting it like a cold surgeon, you become untouchable, because pain teaches lessons that comfort never could. Your enemies gave you a gift. They showed you who they really are. They revealed your weaknesses. They stripped away your illusions. Most men waste this intelligence. They wallow. They complain. They seek sympathy. Not you. You take that pain and you ask one question: how does this make me more dangerous? That's the alchemy. That's how you weaponize suffering. You don't heal from it. You evolve through it. Drop a comment right now with one word: forged. Let me see who's ready to turn their scars into weapons. Part 2. The Machiavellian Principle of Strategic Detachment. Here's the truth they won't tell you. Emotional investment is a liability. Machiavelli wrote that the prince must learn to be both lion and fox. The lion uses force. The fox uses cunning. But both share one critical trait: neither operates from emotion. Your pain made you emotional. It made you reactive. It made you predictable. And in this world, predictable men are prey. So here's your first tactical move. Detach, not from life, not from ambition, not from your goals. You detach from outcome. You detach from people's opinions. You detach from the need to be understood, validated, or loved. This is cold power psychology. The less you need, the more power you have. The less you react, the more you control. The less they can hurt you, the more they fear you. Think about it. Who has leverage in any interaction? The person who cares less. Always. The person who can walk away without flinching. The person who doesn't need the deal, the relationship, or the approval. Your pain taught you dependency. It showed you what happens when you invest too much in things outside your control. Other people, outcomes, expectations. Strip that away. Become the man who operates from pure strategic interest. You help people because it serves your mission. You build relationships because they're mutually beneficial. You engage because you choose to, not because you need to. This isn't cruelty. This is clarity. This is the difference between being a player and being played. The moment you detach emotionally, you see the board clearly. You see people's motivations. You see the patterns. You see the traps before you walk into them. And when you see clearly, you move with precision, with timing, with ruthless efficiency. Comment detached if you're ready to operate from strategic power, not emotional weakness. Part 3. The dark psychology of controlled silence. They expect you to react. They expect you to explode. They expect you to defend yourself, explain yourself, prove yourself. Don't. Silence is the most underestimated weapon in your arsenal. And I'm not talking about passive silence. I'm talking about strategic, calculated, weaponized silence. Machiavelli knew this. The truly powerful don't waste words on those who don't deserve them. There is a specific kind of coldness that settles in the chest when you realize you are truly alone. You look around the room, at your colleagues, your family, your so-called friends, and you see the shift. The smiles do not reach their eyes. The conversations stop when you walk in. The energy has turned. You are no longer one of them. You are the target. Most men crumble here. The human animal is wired for tribe, for consensus, for safety in numbers. When the pack turns, the instinct is to panic, to beg, to explain yourself, to scramble back into the warmth of the group. Do not do it. If you are feeling the pressure of the world against you right now, it is not a mistake. It is a graduation. You have triggered the immune system of the mediocre. You have become a threat, which means you are finally doing something real. Niccolo Machiavelli, the man who wrote the Manual on Power, wrote it in hell. He was not sitting in a palace. He was exiled. He was stripped of his title, accused of conspiracy, thrown into a dungeon, and tortured with the strappado, his hands tied behind his back, hoisted up by a rope, and dropped until his shoulders dislocated. Everyone was against him. The state, the church, the Medici family, his old allies. He did not beg. He did not apologize. He went home, washed the blood off, sat at his desk, and wrote The Prince. He turned his exile into an empire that has outlasted every single person who tortured him. You want to know how to win when the odds are impossible. You want to know how to reverse the dynamic so that their hatred fuels your ascent. I am going to show you. But you must be willing to let go of the need to be liked. Power is not a popularity contest. It is a function of physics, and right now, we are going to use the weight of the world to crush your enemies and build your throne. First, you must understand the mechanics of your situation. You are not being attacked because you are weak. You are being attacked because you have violated the unspoken contract of the group. Machiavelli wrote in The Prince, "There is nothing more difficult to take in hand, more perilous to conduct, or more uncertain in its success than to take the lead in the introduction of a new order of things. When you start to improve, when you start to fix your finances, your body, your mind, you hold up a mirror to the people around you. Your growth reflects their stagnation. Your discipline insults their laziness. They do not hate you. They hate the light you are shining on their failure. This is the crab bucket mentality. If one crab tries to climb out, the others do not cheer. They grab its legs and pull it back down. If it persists, they break its shell. You are the climbing crab. The mistake you are making is trying to reason with the crabs. You are trying to explain your vision. You are trying to show them why you are changing. You think if they just understood, they would support you. Stop. They understand perfectly. That is why they are against you. To win, you must stop viewing their opposition as a tragedy. View it as a coordinate. If you were going in the wrong direction, they would be comfortable with you. The fact that they are agitated is your confirmation. You are on the vector of the outlier. The friction you feel is the price of velocity. Accept this truth. You cannot take them with you. The herd moves at the speed of the slowest member. The predator moves at the speed of his hunger. You have to choose which one you are. When the world turns against you, your instinct is to make noise, to defend your name, to set the record straight. This is a trap. When you argue with a mob, you validate their power. You show them that their opinion has the ability to disturb your internal state. You bleed energy into a black hole. Machiavelli advises a different approach. When the Medici threw him out of Florence, he did not stand in the piazza screaming about injustice. He vanished. He retreated to his farm in Sant'Andrea. He went silent. This is the strategy of the void. When everyone is against you, you must remove the target. Become a ghost. Withdraw your presence, your voice, and your energy. This achieves two things. It starves the fire. Gossip, hatred, and opposition need fuel. They need your reaction. They need your drama. When you give them nothing, absolute cold silence, they have nothing to burn. They turn on each other. It creates myth. While you are silent, you are not idle. You are working, you are building, but you are doing it in the dark. Imagine the psychological terror you inflict on an enemy who attacks you and receives nothing. No anger, no sadness, no rebuttal, just a blank stare and then absence. They start to wonder, what does he know? Why isn't he scared? What is he planning? Paranoia shifts from you to them. Use this time of isolation. The void is not empty space. It is a forge. When you are alone, stripped of allies, you are forced to rely on your own spine. You stop looking for validation because there is no one there to give it to you. You learn to self-source your power. Look at 50 Cent. When he was blackballed by the music industry, when he was shot 9 times, when every label refused to sign him, he didn't complain. He retreated to the basement. He recorded mixtapes. He flooded the streets with product, not promises. He built an army of fans before the industry even knew he was back. By the time they realized he was a threat, he was already the king. If they have exiled you, good. They have locked you in a room with your potential. Do not come out until you are a monster. There will be times when you cannot disappear. You are trapped in the office with the people trying to fire you. You are living in the house with the family that resents you. You are in the territory of the enemy. Here, you must use Machiavelli's most dangerous lesson: conceal your intentions. In Discourses on Livy, Machiavelli tells the story of Lucius Brutus. The king, Tarquin the Proud, had murdered Brutus's father and brother. Brutus was next. Everyone was against him. He had zero power. If he had fought back, he would have died. If he had run, he would have been hunted. So, Brutus played the fool. He pretended to be stupid. He acted slow, submissive, and harmless. He let the king mock him. He let the court laugh at him. He lowered himself so much that he became invisible. He was no longer a threat. He was a pet. But behind the mask of the idiot, Brutus was watching. He was memorizing the king's weaknesses. He was waiting for the precise moment of instability. And when the king raped Lucretia and the public outrage peaked, the idiot Brutus dropped the mask, drew the sword, and led the revolution that overthrew the monarchy and founded the Roman Republic. He won because he was willing to look like a loser. Robert Greene calls this Law 38. Think as you like, but behave like others. When everyone is against you, do not wear your ambition on your sleeve. It is a target. Camouflage yourself in mediocrity. If your boss hates you, do not outshine him yet. Agree with him, flatter him, make him feel secure. If your family mocks your business, tell them, yeah, you're right, it's just a little hobby. I'm not expecting much. Lower their guard. Make them sheath their knives because they think you are already defeated. There is a profound arrogance in this. You are looking at them and thinking, I am acting a role for your benefit, and you are too blind to see it. This is not cowardice. This is espionage. You are a spy behind enemy lines. Gather intelligence, hoard your resources, and wait for the moment when their back is turned. The arrow does not scream before it strikes. Neither should you. Nassim Taleb, a modern philosopher who echoes Machiavellian realism, introduced the concept of anti-fragility. There are 3 types of things in this world. Fragile, things that break under pressure, a glass vase. Robust, things that survive pressure, a rock. Anti-fragile, things that get stronger under pressure, the hydra, the human muscle, the prepared mind. When everyone is against you, you must stop trying to be robust. Survival is not enough. You must become anti-fragile. How? You use their attacks as data. Every time they criticize you, they are revealing a weakness in your armor. He's arrogant. Correction, I need to mask my pride better. He doesn't know what he's doing. Correction, I need to increase my competence in X area. He's broke. Correction, I need to focus entirely on cash flow. Your enemies are your best auditors. Friends will lie to you to protect your feelings. Enemies will tell you the brutal truth because they want to hurt you. Take the hurt out of it. Take the data. Machiavelli wrote that a prince must learn to be a fox to recognize traps and a lion to frighten wolves. Your enemies are teaching you where the traps are. Furthermore, being surrounded creates a psychological pressure cooker. It forces you to evolve faster. If you were comfortable, you would be lazy. The fact that they are hunting you means you have to be faster, smarter, and sharper than them just to survive. They are forcing you to become elite. Thank them. Without the Joker, Batman is just a rich guy in a costume. The villain creates the hero. The opposition creates the outlier. Look at the story of Apple. When Steve Jobs was fired from his own company, when the board, the investors, and the industry turned against him, he didn't retire. He founded Next. He bought Pixar. He learned how to manage. He learned patience. The wilderness years didn't break him. They made him into the CEO who could return and build the most valuable company on Earth. If he had stayed at Apple in 1985, comfortable and arrogant, he would have failed. The betrayal saved him. When the tribe rejects you, you realize a terrifying truth. No one is coming to save you. In the movies, the cavalry arrives. In reality, the cavalry is you. Machiavelli warns in chapter 13 of the prince against using auxiliary forces, hired mercenaries, or powerful allies. He says, if they lose, you are defeated. If they win, you are their prisoner. If you rely on someone else to save you from your enemies, you just traded one master for another. This period of isolation is your opportunity to achieve total self-reliance. Financial autonomy. You need money that doesn't depend on a boss who hates you. Emotional autonomy. You need peace that doesn't depend on a partner who doesn't understand you. Intellectual autonomy. You need ideas that you verified yourself, not downloaded from the group. This is the sovereign mindset. When you need nothing from them, their leverage evaporates. Think about why you care that they are against you. It is because you still need something. You need their approval, their money, their access, their love. Identify the need. Then figure out how to supply it yourself or do without it. The moment you can look at the mob and say, I do not need you to survive, you have won. You have cut the strings. You are no longer a puppet dancing to their disapproval. You are a free man. And a free man is the most dangerous thing in the world to a group of slaves. You look at the people against you, and you see a wall, a solid, impenetrable wall of opposition, a united front. This is an illusion. Machiavelli knew that no group is truly united. They are held together by temporary interests, and right now, by a common target, you. The moment you remove yourself as the target, through the silence and the void we discussed in part 1, the glue that holds them together begins to dissolve. Without a common enemy, their internal cracks appear. Your job is not to fight the wall. Your job is to find the loose brick. In The Prince, Machiavelli advises that a ruler must keep his enemies divided. If you are facing a group, a toxic department at work, a hostile family gathering, a circle of frenemies, do not attack the group. Isolate the weakest link. There is always one person in the mob who is less committed than the others. One who is only nodding along because they are afraid of being targeted themselves. One who is secretly jealous of the leader of the mob. Find that person. Approach them in secret, not to fight, but to confide. I know the others don't get it, but I always thought you were different. You're the only one who actually sees the big picture. Feed their ego. Plant a seed of doubt about the others. I heard leader of the mob was talking about you the other day. I defended you, of course. You don't need to lie. You just need to highlight the friction that already exists. When you turn one, you break the consensus. Suddenly, the mob is not everyone. It is some people. And that psychological shift destroys their momentum. They start fighting each other. They start wondering who is loyal. Paranoia sets in. And while they are busy looking at each other, they stop looking at you. This is how you dismantle an army without firing a shot. You introduce a virus into the software. Revenge is a natural human instinct. When someone hurts you, your biology screams for retaliation. You want to yell. You want to expose them. You want to hurt them back. Suppress that instinct. It is primitive. It is messy. And usually, it backfires. If you attack them directly, you give them a story. See, he's crazy. He's toxic. We were right to exclude him. You prove their narrative. The only revenge that works, the only revenge that Machiavelli would sign off on, is total, undeniable victory. There is a concept in warfare called overmatch. It means possessing capabilities so significant that the enemy realizes the futility of fighting. You need to build a life that is so undeniably superior to theirs that their opinion of you becomes a joke. Think about it. Does a lion care if a sheep has an opinion on his hunting technique? No. The gap in power is too wide. Your goal is to widen the gap. While they are gossiping, you are training. While they are drinking at the same bar every Friday, complaining about the same boss, you are building a side income. While they are aging, you are getting fitter. This is the Count of Monte Cristo strategy. Edmond Dantes was imprisoned, forgotten, and erased. He didn't scream. He spent years educating himself, finding the treasure, and reinventing himself as the Count. When he returned, he didn't just beat his enemies. He bought their banks. He bought their secrets. He dismantled their lives with a smile, and they didn't even know it was him until the very end. You must become the Count. Let them have their little victories today. Let them have the office politics. Let them have the petty arguments. You are playing a different game. You are playing for the decade, not the day. 6 months of deep focus can put you 5 years ahead of the average person. Imagine showing up a year from now. New car, new physique, new mindset, new tax bracket, and treating them with absolute polite indifference. That hurts more than a punch in the face, because it proves that their opposition didn't stop you. It didn't even slow you down. In fact, they were irrelevant. There is a final psychological shift you must make. You must stop wishing it were easier. You must stop wishing they were nice to you. You must learn to love the hate. Nietzsche called this amor fati, love of fate.